So between May and June of this year, a group of 14 young people were selected from all corners of the island to come together to form this youth advisory group, and then together we made a report outlining our views on policies and priorities for this year. And this work was supported by the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth, as well as Comhairle and NESC, the National Youth Assembly of Ireland and NESC.
During our earlier meetings, we came up with the following 6 priorities, including health and well-being, education, climate action, housing and poverty, transport and accommodation, and equality and discrimination.
Housing was one of the key issues we found through our study. Housing is either not being built in the quantities necessary for growth, or else the housing that is being built is falling down due to shoddy workmanship caused by private race-to-the-bottom contracts and less than standard materials. One of our main solutions for this is public-owned building companies, whereby the government has more control over building materials and types of builds. We believe also that high-rise building, similar to that done in Europe, would also offset the housing crisis. For young people, housing in our major towns and cities is simply unaffordable.
So for climate action, the main challenges which we identified included a lack of knowledge as to how serious the climate crisis is, as well as a lack of support from the government for sustainable initiatives, and then misleading media which kind of framed the rising temperatures as a positive change.
Well, the challenges we found in health and well-being were the invisible disabilities going unrecognised, eating disorder centres, access to youth mental health facilities and CAMs. The solutions we identified are increasing the support for young people with invisible disabilities such as dyslexia. Eating disorder treatments and care protocols need to be updated to ensure they are autism friendly, gender aware and recognise all body types. Non-clinical listening service counselling sessions for all second level students in schools, and more courses for psychology to help meet the demand for counsellors.
Transport was one of the major issues we found. Rail networks are limited to all being centralised in Dublin, and the lack of bus and train transport limits people in lower socioeconomic areas from pursuing their dream educations. Within cities themselves, we risk compounding the problem, with people who live in the city choosing student accommodation for independence because largely they can afford the skyrocketed prices of accommodation. We suggest rent caps to make sure that a student on a part-time job can afford their accommodation. Our solutions include connecting rail and bus networks between rural areas. Currently, people on the border between counties may have to travel upwards of 20 minutes for a bus or rail network.
So for discrimination and equality, the main challenges that we identified in our report were a lack of education around different ethnic and cultural backgrounds, hate speech and a lack of awareness around respectful and inclusive language.
For education, the challenges we identified are: it's an archaic system. There is a need for more collaboration between schools and external organisations and groups. The Department of Education has not updated the Student Council guidelines since 2002, and the solutions we identified are the need to overhaul the education system to reflect the changing world, move to a multi-choice assessment, continuous assessment and project work, create guidelines for schools so that they can run student councils effectively and involve young people on the decision-making process.